And we continue at 1:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
John, if there already weren't enough has-beens and nobodies running for governor, we've got one more.
I'm Ian Calderon, and I'm running for governor.
Former Assemblyman Ian Calderon is running for governor.
And apparently it's the cryptocurrency people that are running him.
He even puts that in his campaign. He says, we're young people. We pay each other with Venmo and we save with Bitcoin.
Not me.
Ian is, of course, the son of Charles Calderon, the nephew of Ron Calderon and Tom Calderon, and his stepmother, Lisa Calderon, took over his job.
The two uncles went to prison. Do we know if they've been released yet?
That's a very, very, very good question. In 2014, Tom Calderon and Ron Calderon were indicted for bribery. In June 2016, he pleaded guilty to money laundering. I got to imagine they're out now. It's been a while.
Not only did they get popped, but if I recall correctly, they fell for a totally ridiculous sting operation. Where it was someone who wanted tax credits for filming somewhere. I don't remember the details, but it was one of these completely cartoonish stings.
Well, I guess Ian feels that if the Calderons keep getting elected, even with all that hanging over their heads, why not?
I guess. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, Gavin Newsom is trying to get more national attention for himself, this time by signing a bill that goes after ICE agents.
Gavin Newsom signed a whole bunch of bills on a Saturday press conference where he was going to make it California law that federal law enforcement can no longer mask up, which federal law enforcement said, yeah, that won't apply to us.
Okay. I'm not a lawyer. I did go to school for political science, but I'm not a lawyer. And I'm aware of federal supremacy. I'm aware of how that works. And let me tell you, if the state of California were to pass a law saying, oh, I don't know, tanks at Camp Pendleton or 29 Palms or fill in the blank are prohibited from being operational here because the emissions don't meet California standards, the military will tell California to drop dead. And the military will say, your emission standards mean nothing to us. You have no jurisdiction here. And they will win because that's how it works. If the state of California decides that they're going to pass a law that places restrictions on the uniforms and materials that federal law enforcement officials use, the federal government will tell them to drop dead.
Let's hear Gavin Newsom in his pitch to take on the federal government. Here's KPIX.
Governor Newsom signed the No Secret Police Act into law today, flanked by Democratic lawmakers and immigrant families, saying it's necessary to protect the public.
Although it doesn't go into effect until next year, and it doesn't apply to federal law enforcement, and there's a carve-out for the CHP.
Unmarked cars.
Oh, and you can also wear a mask if you're concerned about COVID.
Of course, because he doesn't want to be on the wrong side of one fake doctor.
No, thank you.
Unmarked cars. People en masse. People quite literally disappearing. No due.
Got so close.
People en masse.
He always walks right up to the line but never gives it to us.
People en masse. People quite literally disappearing. No due process. No rights. No rights in a democracy where we have rights. Immigrants have rights. And we have the right to stand up and push back.
The ban does not apply to all law enforcement agencies. There are exceptions for undercover agents, for wearing medical masks and tactical gear. And even though it's a state law, it doesn't apply to state police.
Okay, this is everything you need to know about Gavin Newsom. Big glossy headlines meant to attract the viewers of CNN and MSNBC with zero follow-through.
Gavin to a T.
It was authored by Bay Area State Senators Scott Wiener and Jesse Arreguin. And while it won't officially go into effect until next year, it's already facing some major questions about just how effective it can be.
It won't be. Bill Asaley already was asked about it and says, yeah, we don't follow state law. We're a federal agency.
No soup for you, Gavin.
Amanda Harry
I don't think that matters. None of it actually matters how this is implemented. It's all about the big flashy announcement.
Yeah, this is all performative and meant to generate national interest in Gavin Newsom as a presidential candidate.
Amanda Harry has more on that and why state leaders think, at least some state leaders think, it's necessary for law enforcement to be identifiable.
Jump on the barrel. They don't have any weapons.
Law enforcement officers with sunglasses, gator masks, and helmets, essentially indistinguishable from one another. It's becoming more and more common. State Senator Scott Wiener says it needs to change.
We have this nightmarish situation where Donald Trump has turned ICE into basically secret police.
He says some officers are trying to...
I don't know of any other politician in the state of California who is wrong more consistently than that guy.
Are trying to remain anonymous.
They are not identifying themselves. They are wearing these extreme face masks, almost like ski masks, and they are just grabbing people, throwing them into unmarked vehicles and disappearing them.
People love using that term these days, disappearing.
Especially him.
Yeah, don't let any of the officer boys leave.
Wiener feels for the people who have been and continue to be impacted. That's why he authored the No Secret Police Act. It will ban federal, local, and state law enforcement agents, including immigration and customs enforcement ones, from wearing face coverings while on duty.
But that's not how the law works.
No, it's not even close.
That includes ski masks and neck gaiters.
Get on the sidewalk! Get on the sidewalk!
Well, typically, you write a law. The question is, how exactly does that law get enforced?
So what? They're going to have CHP officers who don't have to follow these rules arrest federal officers for wearing their sanctioned uniforms?
That includes ski masks and neck gaiters.
Get on the sidewalk! Get on the sidewalk!
Sometimes they'll say, oh, we wear the masks because we're worried about doxing or we're scared for our safety. Of course, we never want anyone to be doxed. But
of course you do. That's why you're doing this. You want them to be terrorized. And you figure if they are terrorized, they will back off. That is the entire point of this legislation. So don't try to pretend as if you have other motivations. That's it.
If you are that scared that you feel the need to cover your face while you're patrolling a community, you shouldn't be a law enforcement officer. It's time to find a different profession.
And they wonder why the law enforcement unions aren't endorsing them anymore.
The law will go into effect on January 1st, and violators may be charged with an infraction or misdemeanor.
Again, who is supposed to enforce that?
Nobody.
There are some exceptions for undercover agents or usage for protective purposes during wildfires or health emergencies. Retired Assistant Special Agent in charge at the San Francisco FBI field office, Jeffrey Harp, questions whether officers will follow it.
Will the California law outweigh the federal interest in protecting their agents? And unfortunately, and I'm not an attorney, but I can tell you I had experience with the Supremacy Clause when it comes to the work I did in the FBI. And the government will likely exercise that or just simply ignore the state regulation.
Acting U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley posted on X that agents will not be following the new law. Quote, the state of California has no jurisdiction over the federal government. If Newsom wants to regulate our agents, he must go through Congress. I've directed our federal agencies that the law signed today has no effect on our operations.
Memo to all agents. Ignore Gavin.
By the way, while all of this is going on, I think it was over the weekend where some nut went up to the ABC affiliate in Sacramento and opened fire on the building and was arrested. And Gavin and the locals let the guy out immediately. And it was the feds that had to go in there and arrest him. I guess they used the telecommunications argument that federal law had jurisdiction, and they arrested the guy. But Gavin and company were perfectly willing to let this guy go. This unhinged nut that shot up a television station, who, by the way, was the legislative director for the teachers union.
Our agents will continue to protect their identities. The Department of Homeland Security called for Newsom to veto the act. Tricia McLaughlin said, while our federal law enforcement officers are being assaulted by rioters and having rocks and Molotov cocktails thrown at them,
that's the one that happened in Paramount.
Oh, yes.
A sanctuary politician is trying to outlaw officers wearing masks to protect themselves from being doxxed and targeted by known and suspected terrorist sympathizers. The law requires officers to be identifiable, name tags, badge numbers, or other easily seen identification on uniforms. Weiner says he wrote this law not just because he thinks it's the right thing, but because it's what his constituents want.
What he's doing here is very similar to what Gavin's doing. Gavin wants to be president, so he's got to do well in the Democratic primary. So he needs to constantly gin up partisan interest in himself. Weiner is termed out of the state Senate. He wants to replace Nancy Pelosi in the Congress. Nancy Pelosi wants her daughter to use the Pelosi name to keep that seat in the Pelosi family's hands. He has to constantly create interest in himself so that people look at him as the partisan warrior and they'll choose him over Christine Pelosi when those two go up against one another. They're doing the same thing here.
Extremely popular because people understand that it's not normal for law enforcement to wear ski masks while they're interacting with the public. That's not normal, and it needs to stop.
So there's the latest on the bill that Gavin signed that doesn't really do anything.
And what's interesting here is that Gavin Newsom is not playing to the California audience. This bill will not be enforced. It's not going to impact how business is done in California. And it's not even meant to please the people who live here. This is meant for the cable news audience. What he's doing is he is trying to ensure himself a certain number of minutes each and every evening on Fox, on CNN, on MSNBC. Because the danger that Gavin Newsom has is that he is a lame duck. In fact, he's in the second half of his second term. And soon, Gavin Newsom won't be relevant at all. He has 2 years to milk all the publicity he can for himself, and then there's going to be the real challenge of trying to create interest in a candidate who used to be a governor. There's a big difference between being governor and being a former governor. Look at all of these former governors that exist on cable news. Look at all the former senators that exist on cable news. There's a million of them. A lot of people who used to be someone. And it's very difficult for those people to remain relevant. At one point in time, there was no one more powerful in the state of California than Gray Davis. Gray Davis, 2-term governor, former lieutenant governor, former controller, former member of the assembly, former chief of staff to Jerry Brown. He did it all. If Gray Davis were to walk down Hollywood Boulevard, I'm going to pull that test again, how many people do you think would recognize him today?
0.
I think you're right. I bet you no one in the K through 12 system can spell George Duke Magin's name.
And if you're under 40, you don't even know who that was.
Correct. The point is that Gavin Newsom realizes that he is going to become irrelevant very, very quickly. So these stunts that he's pulling I think, are going to get more ridiculous as time goes by. Because if it's just something that would typically generate attention in the circles that cover state politics, that does nothing for him. He has to be able to make sure that his stunts are talked about on the 5, or they result in him being booked on one of the Sunday shows. And that's hard to do because there's a lot of noise that's out there. I guess he can attach himself to the Kamala Harris book because she wrote about him in one of the passages, not in a positive way, but she did write about him. So he's going to get asked about it, and those clips are going to go in the news. But it's going to get harder and harder and harder for him to remain relevant. And you've seen these people on TV, people who are very good at attaching themselves to a story. Geraldo Rivera did it for a long time. Gloria Allred is good at it. There are people who can always find an angle to make themselves part of the story. Gavin Newsom is going to be the political equivalent of that. At least when Gloria does it, it's legit because she's representing someone that's attached to the story. And she's a big-name attorney, so that makes sense. Geraldo was an anchor on cable news for years and years and years, so when he attaches himself to a story, it makes sense. When Gavin Newsom is going to try to do this, it's going to be a reach. It's going to be a real far reach. But he's going to do it because that's what's required to remain relevant. We've seen what he's doing on social media to try to remain relevant. Picking fights with randos all over the place and totally outrageous behavior.
He's still doing that?
I think he is, but people stop paying attention.
That was so August.
You can only get so much juice out of the squeeze before you have to change the act. And he's going to have to change the act over and over and over again while upping the ante to keep the interest coming. So I don't think it's going to work out. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I don't think Gavin Newsom is going to be the Democratic nominee for president. But, oh, boy, he is going to throw all the spaghetti at the wall that he can to see what sticks. Let's go to George in Northridge. George, hello.
Yeah, John, two things. If those ICE guys wanted to do something to kind of, tell Gavin where to stick it, what they need to do is like put a picture on their masks of Gavin on it. When they go around, they can be identified. And the second thing is, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it Joy Behar who asked at that time Joe Biden as the presidential candidate if he was going to select a woman of color for vice president?
I'm not sure if it was Joy Behar. I believe it was Joy Reid who asked Gavin Newsom if he would replace Kamala Harris in the United States Senate with a black female, and he said yes.
Okay.
And he did with LaFonza Butler.
All right. I'm curious, though. Did Kamala say anything about our mayor?
No, they don't talk.
Yeah, they're frenemies.
Okay,
thanks for the call. All right, appreciate it. Let's go to Robert in Santa Clara. Robert, hello.
Hey, guys. Scott Wiener. I wish you guys would just maybe do a segment of all the bad bills that guy's authored. Talk about no conscience and worried about people being, like, covert with a mask. You can be covert as an HIV-positive person, according to his law, and you infect somebody, and that person finds out you were positive, and they couldn't sue you. Because, you're innocent, you're active with them, and then you get HIV. He wrote that bill. This is a psychopath. Talk about when they call Gavin a sociopath. Scott Wiener is on it. It has an agenda to create cognitive dissonance, and it's like a psychological operation against normal people. And the guy is maddening. And
all right. We're up against a hard break, but thank you for the call. We appreciate it. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And if you missed the first hour of today's show and you want to find out just exactly what Kamala Harris had to say to the cackling hens on The View, Randy, that's easy to do.
Or you don't have to do that. But sure, if you feel like it, go to the John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. Search for the John Phillips Show on Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for the John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. You can do a Google on the YouTube, get the KABC app, get the KSFO app, or, download one of the hours that doesn't involve The View.
And coming up this Friday, we're going back to the San Fernando Valley.
We are going back to the Universal Hilton to help out the Union Rescue Mission as they're going over the edge for a cause. This Friday and Saturday at the Universal Hilton in Los Angeles, you can rappel down a 25-story building, all while raising funds to help URM's work with people experiencing homelessness. Every dollar raised will be matched up to $500,000. You can sign up to rappel or support a participant, donate to double your impact, or share with your network to amplify awareness. If you want to be a part of this event, go to urm.org/OTE. We'll be broadcasting live from the Universal Hilton to help out the Union Rescue Mission this Friday.
Ann Coulter joins us at the top of the hour. Right now, it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And Randy, today, for a change, we have a couple of additions to the blotter with happy endings. And by that, I mean arrests were made.
Not stories about massage parlors. We did those last month.
And I'm sure we'll do them again in the future.
But let's start off with something that you don't hear about often enough, and that's the conviction of a ringleader of something so prevalent as catalytic converter theft. Oh, wait, is that how you pronounce it, Hugo?
Let's criminalize catalytic converters. Let's criminalize copper.
We rarely hear about the ringleaders of these schemes. Well, up in Fresno, one just got convicted, and wait till you hear how big his operation was. Here is CBS 47 in the Central Valley.
Between January 2021 and November 2022, George Thomas purchased stolen catalytic converters from a group of habitual thieves in the Fresno area. He then sold the car parts in Oregon, but tonight's announcement shows that his actions were met with consequences.
All of these things are I always wondered where these things go. The homeless steal them off of cars, then they sell them to guys like this who transport them across state lines to think that they've covered their tracks.
Well, this guy didn't get away with it.
The last time we did one of these was a guy in Sacramento who was transporting them all the way to New Jersey to get them smelted.
People who want to participate in these schemes and in these types of crimes, we're coming for you.
A strong message from the FBI and local law enforcement. Today, the Department of Justice announced a judge sentenced 72-year-old George Thomas to 10 years in prison.
72 years old.
Oh, my God. What in your life went so wrong where at 72 years of age, you're participating in something like this?
Maybe he saw Breaking Bad and took away the wrong message from it.
Maybe.
After being convicted by a jury for interstate transportation of stolen property, in this case it was catalytic converter theft and structuring. In other words, he was hiding the money that were the proceeds of the illegal activities. Back in about 2021,
a jury convicted Thomas in March for organizing the theft of over 9,600 catalytic converters.
Holy cow.
9,600. Think about how much money that costs Californians when you have your catalytic converter stolen, then you have to lose a day taking your car to the shop to have it replaced. You have to pay for a new one to be put in. Many people then have to put the cages underneath their car to prevent it from being stolen again. The amount of money that people lost as a result of this one guy has to be in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions.
So I would say if you average out the cost of how much it costs to repair these things, because it's gone way up over the years, let's say the average cost was $2,500, and I still think that's low. 9,600 times 2,500, $24 million.
There you go. We should give that guy the chair.
A jury convicted Thomas in March for organizing the theft of over 9,600 catalytic converters worth around $2.7 million.
Because of the impact that had on the community.
By the way, that's the other thing with all of these recycling cases, whether it's the copper wire or the catalytic converter. The cost to replace vastly outweighs the amount stolen.
But they don't care because they're not the ones paying the bill.
Because of the impact that had on the community, the businesses that were affected, that was over $20 million in damages.
Hey, I was right.
Look at that. You could do math.
Well, I can do math with the calculator app on my phone.
Good enough.
And that people lost.
How many times did your math teacher tell you, you're going to need to know this because it's not like you're just going to carry around a calculator everywhere?
Oh, they didn't even bother wasting their breath on me because they knew I was a lost cause from day one.
And that people lost money as a result of those thefts.
According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, Thomas told thieves which converters he wanted and how to cut them off cars. Thomas also helped the thieves pay for motel rooms, tools, and bail.
Wait, this guy paid for lodging?
Which means there's a paper trail because there's Hilton Honors points.
And this is why something else to think about in the world of no bail in Los Angeles County. Part of how they were able to track this guy down is he was literally bailing out the thieves.
Yes, and from his point of view, it was highly profitable because there's almost zero risk in California.
Thomas also helped the thieves pay for motel rooms, tools, and bail.
Imagine the anguish, the emotional distress, the impact that it has on the daily lives of everyone.
Unless you own an electric car, because those don't have catalytic converters.
Oh, they'll find something to steal on your car. You just give it time.
Don't give them any ideas.
These types of schemes.
Thomas tried covering up his crimes after authorities did a search of his home in mid-2021. He sold the parts to an organ recycling company for $2.7 million.
And this is why I don't understand, why are we not also going after the recycling companies? Because there's no legitimate way that you're just bulk purchasing 10,000 catalytic converters for smelting.
No, start pulling their licenses now.
The thing you have to wonder is the reason some of these recyclers aren't getting indicted is because they're politically connected. Like, I don't know, a certain dong family out of Oakland.
It always comes back to the dongs.
He sold the parts to an organ recycling company for $2.7 million. He withdrew the money from a bank.
All right, how much do you get paid if you're the guy who has to rent the U-Haul to transport those things up the 5 freeway?
I don't know. He's the mule.
He withdrew the money from a bank through 386 cash withdrawals that were each under the $10,000 reporting threshold.
Follow with the...
Yeah, you know, the feds notice if you have tons and tons and tons of withdrawals for $9,000.
Did I tell you that I was selling a house one time and I got an offer, an all-cash offer from a woman who looks like she could have been on Breaking Bad? Not a natural hair in those eyebrows. She lived in El Centro, and when she had to provide proof of funds, we got a fax that went on forever, and it was... I don't remember how many, but about a gazillion different bank accounts, all under $10,000. Who in El Centro has a lot of money to put down on a house or to pay cash for a house in bank accounts that all have less than $10,000 per account?
Someone is doing something they shouldn't be.
Uh-huh.
Followed with the arrest and conviction of Mr. Thomas, you saw a decrease of 60%. 60% immediately.
This one ringleader, when he got taken off the streets, the amount of catalytic converter thefts that they saw in Fresno County went down by 60%.
You see, that's the thing. Many of these crimes, many of these retail thefts that we see, many of the catalytic converter thefts, the copper wire, it's the same people over and over and over again because we never arrest them, or if we do, we don't keep them in jail. If you were to just find the really, really, really bad offenders and you were to eliminate them from society, you would see crime fall off a cliff.
In catalytic converter thefts, Why is that important? Because that lets the community know we went after the right person with the right resources and the right team, and we got the right outcome.
Clovis Police Department's detective unit credits the public for being vigilant and reporting suspicious activity that helped start this investigation. Reporting live in studio, Jason Toktagian, KC24, local news that matters.
We don't have a whole lot of successful stories on the crime blotter, but it is a good day when this guy's probably never going to see the outside again after being convicted of stealing nearly 10,000 catalytic converters.
Well, with what we know about healthcare inside the prison system, we're definitely never going to have to worry about a 72-year-old sentenced to 10 years in prison ever again. But right now, it's time to reopen the California crime blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And Randy, this is yet another edition of the blotter with a happy ending.
And not that kind. But let's go to Yuba City, where someone got busted for trying to steal a whole bunch of electrical wiring. For more, here is KCRA 3, Sacramento.
And this is new tonight out of Yuba City. A man is in custody after the sheriff's office says he stole from a business for the past 3 months.
3 months?
It's a long time.
First, I'll take the telephone cable. Then I'll take the copper wire. Hey, I can keep going. Let's see what else I can get. Let's go to that supply closet.
Can you imagine what the hotel room must look like after this guy checks out?
A lot, and I think it's frustrating. You know, you feel violated to have somebody come onto your property.
Well, Sutter County deputies say that man stole thousands of dollars in electrical cables.
KCRA 3's Peyton Hudley explains what else they found when they arrested him.
Surveillance video over the course of about 3 months this summer show a man breaking into ET Quality RV in Yuba City, stealing power cords and other equipment.
From $150 to $300.
Stealing for 3 months from an RV store?
I'll tell you, if you're running that RV store and every time you show up to work, something else is missing, and the something else results in you having no internet or you having no phone system or you having no power, that would get real old real fast.
From $150 to $300 these cost, and I mean, that's a big hit for a business.
The business sells trailers and RVs and stores them for customers.
And it's pried right here. So he went and pried it open.
General Manager Melina Rochin says the thief stole upwards of 40 power cords from them for the copper inside.
That's worth what, pennies?
The amount of return that you get for all this copper wire is so little. The only way that this makes sense to you is if you need $10 because you need fentanyl. Other than that, nobody's retiring off of copper wire theft.
This is one of these things where in the Old West, if Wyatt Earp were in charge, you would get away with this exactly once, and that would be the end of it.
Being a small, family-run business, everything, every loss, it takes a big hit on us.
But the thefts just kept coming. The most recent, only 2 days ago.
If it's happening every day for 3 months, don't you start thinking about setting some traps?
Well, if you have video evidence of the person doing it, frequently the cops don't even want to see it.
Forget cameras. I'm talking you get all Kevin McAllister on this jackass.
But
the buckets of paint flying from the sky.
Exactly. Christmas ornaments lining the floor.
But the thefts just kept coming. The most recent, only 2 days ago.
They were getting hit quite a bit throughout the month.
Detective Vishal Virk with the Sutter County Sheriff's Office says surveillance video and old school detective work helped them to identify 45-year-old Peter Potto as the suspect.
Peter Potto?
Okay, another person who is old enough to know better. The last one was 72. This guy is 45, and he is constantly stealing copper wire from an RV park.
George Gascon used to love to make the argument that people usually age out of crime. The latest entries in the blotter are showing that that's not really the case.
No, these are complete and total losers who who have turned it into a profession.
If you're getting put away in your 40s, are you really going to change your ways?
No, you're not. You're like a dog with rabies.
What are you advocating for?
Well, have you seen Old Yeller?
Helped them to identify 45-year-old Peter Potto as the suspect.
He was surprised when we showed up to his tent, and he was actively...
Oh, what do you know? He's homeless.
There you go. So the money is going to meth. You're right, Randy.
Just another one of our unhoused neighbors that just needs some housing, right?
He was surprised when we showed up to his tent, and he was actively burning copper wire.
Burning it?
What's that about?
Well, not all the ideas that pop into your head when you're on meth make sense.
No, and one thing that's consistent is they like to light a lot of things on fire.
That is true.
He was surprised when we showed up to his tent, and he was actively burning copper wire.
Deputies arrested
Maybe the fumes off of that get you high.
There's a lot of questions I have here.
Deputies arrested Potto at his camp in the river bottoms.
How do the green people feel about that?
He's living in the river?
People are living in the river all over the place. You ever seen camera footage? Just go on Google Maps and look at the L.A. River bike path, which if you don't live in Los Angeles, it's not really a river, but it is a concrete riverbed that constantly has people living in it. And then the one time a year it rains, we have to send the firefighters out with swift water rescue because they're all drowning.
Okay, but Sutter County, that's north of Sacramento, correct?
I believe so.
Okay, that's not terribly far from the Sierra Nevadas. It gets freezing out there.
We got river people.
While the cords from ET Quality RV had already been stripped and sold, deputies found even more stolen cords from a different case.
We did identify Glad Tidings Church as well, so they are another victim that we're working with.
While the church...
Oh, you're saying that he wasn't just stealing from this one place over and over and over again? There were multiple victims?
You don't say. He repeated his bad behavior.
Think about how much money this one guy has cost us because we did not want to keep him in prison. Because there's no way this is his first offense.
Just the loss of productivity alone. If you show up to work and instead of performing your duties, you're spending your time trying to get the power back on or trying to get the internet back on or trying to get the phone system back up and running, those are hours and hours and hours of wasted time.
While the church got its cords back, Rochin wasn't as lucky, but says she at least has peace of mind.
It's a big relief that they were successful in finding this person and having him in custody now.
Well, just wait until Prop 57 kicks in because I don't think this is going to be considered a violent crime.
No, if they let the guy out that shot up the ABC affiliate in Sacramento, this guy's not going to be doing too much time.
The more that these concerns are raised and actually followed through with, the more stronger as a community that we can become.
The more stronger?
I'll give her a pass. She's had a lot on her plate.
In Yuba City, Peyton Hadley, KCRA 3 News.
Zapato is booked on burglary, theft with priors, possession of narcotics, and drug paraphernalia charges.
Hey, look at that. There's a hat trick for you.